To welcome today's chief guest, Dr. P.K. Chakravarti, who is then to become Assistant Director General Plant Protection and Biosafety for Indian ICAR. He is a fellow Indian Society of Mycology and Plant Pathology, Udaipur, and his research areas being the mycology and plant pathology, molecular plant pathology and biotechnology, host pathogen interaction, molecular diagnosis. He has chaired several committees, including the technical committee on monitoring of pesticide residue at national level, and was member of the CIBRC committee. Most importantly, for our biostimulants sector, he was the chairman of the subcommittee of developing guidelines for the registration of biostimulants. So the first first draft of biostimulant notification was drafted by Dr. Chakravarti. So it's a great honor for us to have him as a chief guest. So may I request AIM President to felicitate him and welcome him with a flower bouquet.
Yes, sir.
Farmer from Junnar in Pune district of Maharashtra, Mr. Gulab Neherkar. He has been in this field, and mostly he has done his farming with the help of modern technology right from 1986. He has at that time was focusing on drip technology, and with that he has come up with not only with the production of the grapes and other horticultural crops, but he is also one of the exporters of grapes and pomegranate. So may I request Mr. Sarjana Shisole, MGC committee member, to welcome Mr. Neherkar.
एग्रो इनपुट्स मैन्युफैक्चरर्स एसोसिएशन द्वारा आयोजित की गई इस पहली एबीसी कांग्रेस में मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं। यहाँ हमारे साथ विराजमान डॉक्टर चक्रवर्ती सर, गुलाब शेठ नेहरकर, संदीप चौहान, शेमिल सर और मेरे सहयोगी समीर पात्रे, वैभव काशीकर और आप सब फ्रेंड्स। एग्रो इनपुट्स मैन्युफैक्चरर्स एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा आयोजित इस पहली बायोस्टिमुलेंट कांग्रेस में मैं राजकुमार दुर्गुड़े पाटिल आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं। मैं इन सभी गणमान्य व्यक्तियों का भी स्वागत और आभार व्यक्त करता हूं जो इस माध्यम से हमें मार्गदर्शन करने यहाँ आए हैं। एग्रो इनपुट्स मैन्युफैक्चरर्स एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडिया, जिसे हम संक्षिप्त में एम एसोसिएशन कहते हैं, इस एम एसोसिएशन की स्थापना 2010 में हुई। इसका उद्देश्य सरकार के स्तर पर बायोस्टिमुलेंट उत्पादकों को मंजूरी दिलाना, यह उद्यम व्यवसाय करने वालों को मान सम्मान प्राप्त कराना। एसोसिएशन का मुख्य उद्देश्य हमारे सदस्यों की समस्याओं को हल करना है। इसके साथ साथ ही अपने देश के किसानों को अधिक गुणवत्ता वाले कृषि उत्पादक की आपूर्ति करके किसानों की प्रगति के साथ साथ देश को समृद्ध बनाना है। पूरी दुनिया इस समय एक अलग संकट से गुजर रही है। कई देश अनाज की गंभीर समस्या कमी का सामना कर रहे हैं। इसमें पिछले हफ्ते हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन से फ़ोन करके बात करते हुए कहा कि हम पूरी दुनिया को अनाज की आपूर्ति कर सकते हैं। वास्तव में हमारे देश के स्वतंत्र होने के कुछ ही समय बाद हम अपने लोगों का पोषण करने के लिए अमेरिका जैसे देश से अनाज आयात करते थे। उस समय देश की जनसंख्या मात्र 35 करोड़ थी। आज हमारे देश की जनसंख्या 140 करोड़ है। यह उस समय से लगभग 4 गुना अधिक है, लेकिन आज हम अपने देश के लोगों का पोषण करके दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में अनाज की निर्यात कर रहे हैं। हम कुछ दशक पहले जिस अमेरिका से अनाज का आयात करते थे, उसी देश के सामने दुनिया को अनाज आपूर्ति करने में हम सक्षम हैं, ऐसी भूमिका निभा रहे हैं। एक महीने में हम आयात करने वाले से निर्यात करने वाला देश बन गए हैं। 1950 में हमारे देश में प्रतिवर्ष लगभग 6 करोड़ मीट्रिक टन अनाज का उत्पादन होता था। वह अब 2021 में बढ़कर 31 करोड़ मीट्रिक टन हो गया है। पिछले 70 वर्षों में हमने अपने देश के उत्पादन में 6 गुना वृद्धि की है। बेशक देश के किसानों को इस योगदान का श्रेय देना पड़ेगा, और हमें यह भी नहीं भूलना चाहिए कि देश के शासक, प्रशासक, कृषि वैज्ञानिक और साथ साथ ही हम सब कृषि उद्यमियों का भी इसमें बड़ा योगदान रहा है। 1985 में हमारे देश के शोधकर्ताओं ने दिखाया है कि इस प्रकार के जैव उत्तेजक फसलों के लिए बहुत उपयोगी होते हैं और इसके इस्तेमाल से कृषि उत्पाद में भारी वृद्धि होती है। तब से कई उद्यमी इस जैव उत्तेजकों को बाजार में बिक्री के लिए उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं, जो किसानों के बीच बहुत ही लोकप्रिय रहे हैं। उसके बाद बाजार में बहुत बड़ी संख्या में ऐसे उत्पादकों की बिक्री करने वाली कंपनियां आने लगी। उनके बीच प्रतिस्पर्धा होने लगी। इस प्रतियोगिता की हकीकत देखकर किसानों को फायदा होना चाहिए था। हालांकि इनमें से कुछ अवसरवादी व्यापारियों ने प्रत्यक्ष और अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से किसानों का नुकसान पहुंचाना शुरू कर दिया, क्योंकि सरकार ने इन उत्पादकों के निर्माण और बिक्री के लिए कोई नियम निर्धारित नहीं किए थे। इस मौके का फायदा उठाकर कुछ निर्माताओं ने घटिया उत्पादन बनाकर किसानों पर थोपना शुरू कर दिया था। इससे किसानों का भी उतना ही नुकसान हुआ जितना ईमानदारी से कारोबार करने वाले हम सब उद्यमियों का भी हुआ। इसलिए इस उद्यम को शक की नज़र से भी देखा जा रहा था। 2010 में महाराष्ट्र सरकार ने एक जीआर जारी किया और इस उद्यम के लिए नियम तैयार किया। इसी बीच इस उद्यम में काम करने वाले एक ईमानदार समूह एक साथ आकर AIM एसोसिएशन का गठन किया और इस जीआर का स्वागत किया। उसके बाद महाराष्ट्र सरकार के एग्री कमिश्नर की अनुमति से एसोसिएशन की ओर से इसके नियमों और शर्तों को पूरा करना शुरू कर दिया। इसके लिए एसोसिएशन की ओर से करोड़ों रुपए खर्चा किए गए। कई घटनाक्रमों के बाद केंद्र सरकार ने अब इसे फरवरी 2021 में FCO के तहत छठे परिशिष्ट को शामिल करके ऐसे उत्पादकों को कानून के दायरे में लाया है। हमने इसका भी स्वागत किया है और अब इन उत्पादकों के निर्माण के लिए हमारे एसोसिएशन के सदस्यों को लाइसेंस प्राप्त करने के लिए हम केंद्रीय कृषि विभाग के साथ काम कर रहे हैं। चक्रवर्ती साहब, हमारे यहाँ एक कहावत है, अब दिल्ली दूर है। जब कोई चीज़ अपने हाथ नहीं आती ऐसा दिखता है, तब हम लोग वहाँ महाराष्ट्र में खास करके हम अब दिल्ली दूर है ऐसा बोलते हैं। लेकिन अभी हमें आप जैसे एक बहुत ही बुद्धिमान और इस बायोस्टिमुलेंट एक्ट के जिन्होंने ड्राफ्ट किया वो हमारे साथ है, तो अब हमें दिल्ली नज़दीक लग रही है। तो हमें आशा है अभी कि आप सरकार के माध्यम से बहुत तकलीफ होती है उन्हें समझाना। और इसी के साथ मैं हमारे दोस्त लोगों को भी बताना चाहता हूँ कि बहुत लोगों को लगा होगा कि हमने दिल्ली में ये कॉन्फ्रेंस क्यों अरेंज की है। भाइयों, मैं बताना चाहता हूँ अपने देश में सिर्फ राजकीय तौर से दिल्ली पॉपुलर नहीं है। लगभग सभी कानून दिल्ली से बनते हैं, केंद्र सरकार की ओर से बनते हैं। अपने कृषि निविष्ठा तो दिल्ली के कायदे तो दिल्ली से बनते हैं। इसलिए हमें यहाँ परिषद लेनी पड़ी। हमें यहाँ के प्रशासक और शासक को दिखाना चाहिए कि हमारी स्ट्रेंथ कितनी बड़ी है और हम लोग इतना अच्छे तरीके से ये व्यवसाय कर रहे हैं। हमारे देश के प्रगति में, हमारे किसान के प्रगति में हम बहुत बड़ा योगदान दे रहे हैं। तो हमें आप सहयोग करें और किसी का भी नुकसान ना हो, ऐसे कानून बनाए ताकि सबका भला हो। हमारा अभी बहुत देश मैंने इसके पहले बोला, देश में बहुत गहरे संकट छाए हुए हैं। श्रीलंका का भी आप उदाहरण अपने सामने है। तो ऐसा कोई नहीं हो पाए कि श्रीलंका जैसी स्थिति अपने देश में भी हो, लेकिन मुझे आशा है हमारे यहाँ चक्रवर्ती साहब जैसे बड़े बड़े साइंटिस्ट हैं, इसलिए ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, सब अच्छी तरह से चलेगा। और जो अपने देश में फार्मर को ज़रूरत है वो हम दिलाने की कोशिश करेंगे। उसके लिए हमें शासन से, प्रशासन से सहयोग मिलेगा। ये आशा के साथ मैं मेरा भाषण समाप्त करता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
I welcome you all, the attendees here. It's our pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all the esteemed AIM members, distinguished speakers and guests, business associates, attendees and media persons. So let us move forward. As our AIM president has just delivered his address that we had come across in this long journey of 11 to 12 years, we would also see some presentation in the later part also. So Agro Inputs Manufacturers Association of India, AIM, is a registered association of agro MSMEs and SMEs manufacturing biostimulants on a large scale. Extensively, this association was formed for solving the grievances or taking care or addressing the grievances of the biostimulant manufacturers across India, with more than 300 members now. AIM is based in Maharashtra, Pune, and it came into existence in 2010 for policy advocacy with government, especially in the field of biostimulants, knowledge sharing and training of staff and stakeholders across India, and also development of unity and fellowship amongst the members. The most fitting in biostimulant in the Schedule 6. AIM proudly possesses pooled data of 8 common biostimulants. Soon we will present this aspect to the dignitaries and the esteemed gathering by a short presentation. AIM's ABC, a biostimulant, a way forward. Biostimulant is a buzzword today, and no doubt its usefulness has gained immense popularity in last 2 to 3 decades amongst the farming community in the entire world due to increased crop yields and enhancement in the quality of the produce without any side effect to the crops. Moreover, related to the biostimulant industry, together, right from the farmers to traders to manufacturers who end users, sells and manufactures, we have also invited policymakers and scientists who are instrumental in making regulations safeguarding farmers' interests based on scientific input and data. Biostimulants are now in the purview of Fertilizer Control Order 1985. With the insertion of new Schedule 6, AIM wholeheartedly welcomes this move by Government of India. It's a feeling of immense pride that India is the first country who has drafted such clear guidelines for biostimulants. This move will not only ensure supply of quality and, more importantly, safe agri inputs, safe to the environment, safe to the human, to the farming community, but from the manufacturer's point of view, has awarded the much coveted registered agro input to the biostimulants in India. So this has been the highlight of this regulation, that since so many years we have been just termed as the unregistered agri inputs manufacturers. So this is the biggest change that has come into place now due to this biostimulant section has been taken into the FCO 1985. So this step by government will take our business to the next level. And in ABC 2022, we will understand what is beyond the current administrative challenges as we all are facing, like Form G1, G2, G3. And which will be solved in due course of time, and how we can look ahead and plan for our long-term survival and progress. The scientists from ICAR, IARI, NRM, TERI and BIS. So we are going to invite the scientists from these prestigious institutes to guide us that what is beyond biostimulants now. The regulations are in place. The regulating body is accommodating changes with respect to the ground issues which have been put by many associations, including AIM. So that is going to solve in a certain time period. We got some extensions. So this is going to stay. So what we have to look, and why this Congress has been planned, is to look beyond this biostimulant and the way forward, how we can do, how we can sustain, how we can plan, and how we can go ahead with this opportunity. I can say that we are now a part of an act of a fertilizer, like otherwise we have been termed as the unregistered unregistered commodity manufacturers. So this is the most important thing that we want to highlight, and we should understand that regulation, it has come, regulation will stay, regulation will take its own course, and how we are going to go ahead with the biostimulants. So we have scientists coming in the next sessions, and they will guide us how this industry is in the world, how different it is, and how we can go according to their guidance. So the theme of this first AIM Biostimulant Congress, as I said, is to look into way forward and welcome the current step taken by the government of India, and simultaneously encourage innovations. That is also one of the important things, that the regulation is there, but how we can encourage innovations and make the regulations industry friendly. So a gathering of so many of manufacturers will allow us to give a presentation or submit our request or the problems that we are facing. But at the same time, we have to look into innovations also, because the new law which has just come in, which will replace FCO, it has also allowed a label claim based fertilizers, and biostimulants will naturally be also accommodated into the new law that is coming, which will be replacing FCO soon. So we have to see that how we can encourage the innovations, and this is possible through active dialogue with all stakeholders on the platform such as ABC. We hope to ignite more possibilities of knowledge transfer and new agri inputs to the agricultural sector, which in turn will lead to the prosperity of the farming community, thus making our nation stronger and self-reliant. We will be glad if this effort makes policymakers, agricultural scientists, and industry to unite and focus coordinate efforts towards manufacture, regulation, and use of biostimulants in improving soil, crop, environment, and human health. At ABC, we intend to focus on need of regulating biostimulants, technical difficulties faced in their analysis quantitatively, especially those with herbal contents and other natural contents, need of setting of biostimulant standards, as well as some challenges faced by the industry, as well as biostimulant usefulness and other perspectives from progressive farmers and well-established traders' point of view, thus making it a full circle. With the permission of Chief Guest, I would like to take this opportunity to present AIM Association's work in connection with the pool data creation.
मंच पे उपस्थित सभी अतिथिगण और इस परिषद को उपस्थित मेरे सभी सदस्यगण, आप सबका स्वागत है। और मैं देख रहा हूँ कि इसमें ज़्यादातर मेरे महाराष्ट्र से चेहरे दिख रहे हैं, तो उन सभी को जय महाराष्ट्र दी, क्योंकि मेरी ज़्यादातर जर्नलिज्म महाराष्ट्र में हुई है 25 साल से ज़्यादा। तो मैं कोशिश करूँगा हिंदी में आपके साथ जुड़ने की, क्योंकि हाल ही में जब मैं जापान गया था टोक्यो ओलंपिक के लिए, तो एबीपी माझा और एबीपी न्यूज़ के लिए मैंने टोक्यो ओलंपिक कवर किया था। कोशिश करता हूँ। जापान का जब मैं जिक्र कर रहा हूँ, तो जैसे मैंने कहा था कि दुर्गड़े साहब से मैं कुछ डेढ़ साल पहले मिला था, तो उनसे मैंने सबसे पहले ये शब्द सुना था, बायोस्टिमुलेंट। तो मैंने सबसे पहले इसलिए कहा था क्योंकि आज भी भारत में सबसे ज़्यादा लोग जो है वो खेती करते हैं, लेकिन वे कभी खेती कैसे करनी है ये कभी सीखते नहीं हैं। तो उनकी ये हालत है, तो हम जैसे लोगों को तो उससे हम काफ़ी परे हैं। तो बायोस्टिमुलेंट ये शब्द क्या है, ये मैं उनसे समझने की कोशिश कर रहा था, क्योंकि जब भी हमें जर्नलिस्ट को कुछ भी अगर एग्रीकल्चर में अगर कुछ भी जानना हो, तो हम दुर्गड़े साहब को कॉल करते हैं। वे हमारे लिए विकिपीडिया है। कभी भी उनसे कुछ भी अगर चाहिए तो इमीडिएट उसका आंसर उनके पास रहता है। तो हम उनको कभी भी कुछ भी समस्या आती है तो सबसे पहला हमारा एसओएस जो है वो दुर्गड़े साहब को जाता है। तो हम उनको हमेशा एग्रीकल्चर का विकिपीडिया कहते हैं। मंच का सार है कि किसी शायर ने ऐसे कहा है कि बेशक इंसान अब चांद सितारे छूने लगा है, बेशक इंसान अब चांद सितारे छूने लगा है, परंतु फसल आज भी ज़मीन पर ही उगती है। और जब तक फसल ज़मीन पे उगती है तब तक आप सारों को, किसी को भी ऑप्शन नहीं है, गवर्नमेंट को आपकी बात सुननी ही पड़ेगी। बस आपका आवाज़ कितनी ताकत से आप उन तक पहुंचा, तो यही बात सबसे अहम रहती है। इसी बात से मैं आप सभी को शुभकामना देता हूँ और आपको बॉम्बे में आने की इन्वाइट कर देता हूँ कि आप आइए। वहाँ बड़े शान से हम वहाँ एक कॉन्क्लेव करेंगे और आपके सारे विचार जो है वो जो प्रस्तावित जो सरकार है उनके सामने रखेंगे। धन्यवाद। आज मुझे आपने यहाँ अपने विचार।
Very good morning to you all, the members of this very prestigious association. In fact, dignitaries on the dais, I would like to say Mr. Rajkumar Durgudeji, the president of the society, then Mr. Gulab Neherkar, Sanjay ji, Semil ji, yeah, and Vaibhav ji, Samir ji, because I know Mr. Samir, Mr. Vaibhav very closely because we have been interacting, and definitely Dr. Rajkumar as well. We met in our office, and I welcome you all. This is a very progressive step that you all have come, and we should be very proud that this is the first Agro Manufacturers Association's meeting on the Congress on the biostimulant, which is going to revolutionize the country. Definitely, I do not have any qualms, I do not have any hesitation to say that this is the molecule or this is the product or substance or commodity which is going to be the next, as we say, the third green revolution is being planned in the country. So, in the name of the plant metabolism associated booster, the biostimulants are going to be revolutionizing the plant production. As such, we are reaching the yield plateau. Although we should be proud as Indians that our Honorable Prime Minister has said that we are able to feed the whole world, and he has not told just like that, because we have all-time high food grain production today, as Rajkumar ji had already told initially, that never before, because we at the time of independence we used to make 50 million tons of food grains, and now we are now making 320 million metric tons of food grains this year, which is the estimate, and which is all-time high in the country, and we are second to China definitely. And I see that there is a gap between China and India, but I see that gap as an opportunity, because many of the countries like United States and European countries and others who have reached their yield maxima, they do not have, their agricultural growth is growing at a mere rate of 1%, whereas India still has a growth because we have that buffering zone, that gap which is existing. We know that there is a gap and we have to reach. So our growth is still going at the rate of 4% or more. Even during COVID period, our agriculture has not been affected due to the pandemic situation, and that is the pride which we are having. And definitely by legitimizing the biostimulant, because this is such an area I am wondering, and later on when I am going to tell about what I wanted to say. Uh, 47 different terminologies were given to biostimulants. They are being used, but nobody in the world has so far dared. They are still accumulating certain rational, they are still trying to accumulate certain reasoning to develop guidelines. But India has seen, and sometimes the bad things prompts government of India. What happens, no? Because, but it is for the good. It is always a blessing in disguise which happens, and biostimulant was not used to be regulated. Many countries are working, European Union, Australian, Americans, they are trying to do, but they have not yet developed. And now they are they are looking upon India to get a feedback. While we, when first time in 2016, the Planning Commission has called the secretary there and DG ICR, because at that time I was working in ICR as Assistant Director General Plant Protection and Biosafety, and I have been greatly exposed to the way the pesticides and chemicals used to be registered, and for last six years I have been involved in that. And so Planning Commission said, because Honorable Prime Minister heard that there was some kind of unscrupulous activities in the name of biostimulants are happening, and those things needs to be regulated. Then a Joint Secretary of Agriculture, Joint Director of Agriculture from Rajasthan, he came and he said that 400 crores worth of spurious biostimulants are being sold in Rajasthan alone. Subsequently, it came to the mind of the Planning Commission that we need to now start regulating, because the good companies like you, good manufacturers like you will be affected, and the product will be eyed upon with a suspicion. So it is, and for the first time the guidelines have been made, and I was fortunate that I was made Honorable Secretary there. He called me as I am his colleague. I was his colleague, so I still work with him. So he called me and he said, "Why not you chair this session?" And so he made and we had 8 rounds of discussions, deliberations, presentations by academicians, by scientists, by. At that time we were, that is what I felt, because many of the things could be better streamlined if we could have invited members of AIM at that time initially. But then nevertheless we thought that pesticide companies are also working for the development of biostimulants, because enough has been heard about them. Prime ministers or anybody or environmental activists or NGOs, they are always telling something against pesticide. So there are different concepts of zero-based natural farming, organic farming, natural farming. From the time to time it is coming. So for all those things, biostimulants definitely will be a very important component for boosting the production and productivity beyond what we have. Because at this time we are self-sufficient, we are food secure nation, and we are proud to say that we have ample amount of food to feed the world, and the only thing is that we need to have a greater distribution. We need to have our produce outside the world. This year we have again all-time high export of more than $10 billion worth of agricultural produce, and so this is about $50 billion if I am not wrong, which is increasing. And then our wheat is going to Afghanistan. This for the first time after this recent calamity, war kind of situation has happened. So we are exporting, and India is being eyed upon for that. So coming back to biostimulant, it's a very important component, and you should all take it with pride that the guidelines have been made. This is going to exist, and when the guidelines were made, even we are novice for that. We were not, we also tried to accumulate, generate our ideas, generate our, with our scientific background, we could guess what is biostimulant, which way it should go. And finally, initially it was felt that because the testing and all those kind of certification procedure is well established in Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee, so it should go there. But subsequently, with the greater deliberations, now some more dignitaries are coming. Our Deputy Director General Natural Resource Management, Dr. S.K. Chaudhary, who is also involved in this. He is also going to come. He is going to talk about further to you. And these are the persons who are going to take your challenges, your whatever problems are coming, and we will all together definitely, because this is for a good cause. In general, it is thought that whatever in business or private we are doing, but it is for the benefit of the manufacturers. But it's not, because the farmers cannot do. And recently it has been felt that biostimulant is a whole lot of new area, and there are in plants nearly 4,000 pathways are going on. The way हमारे अंदर in case of human we have several pathways and tests which are done. आजकल there is a fashion that in 2,000 rupees your 240 tests will be done. So those are done for those pathways which are known. But for those pathways which are yet to be discovered, it is known that more than 4,000 pathways are known in case of plant, which are happening, but not all are understood. They are interlinked. They have crosstalks in between them, and that leads to positive or negative modulation of plant metabolism to ultimately affect the yield, or to increase the stress to abiotic stress, or to increase the available nutrient uptake. So all those things never had been studied earlier. Earlier it was otherwise. We used to feed the plant with the fertilizer, and fertilizer, whether it is made available to the plants or not, we didn't used to care. Whatever grows there, but a large part of fertilizer we add that remains it's stuck to the soil, which is further made available when the biostimulants are applied. So these are ample amount of process and procedures have come. Some physiologists, then the members of CBCs, they will be coming, and then the chairman of subcommittee is going to come. And biostimulant is growing at the rate of 16.34% today in the country, and from 2017 we have 253% growth in India. From 2017 it was whatever the growth was there. Now it is coming to about 217 million US dollar, and by 2023 and 25, it is expected to be at the rate of 300 million US dollar worth of biostimulant which is going. And India will be one of the greatest exporters of biostimulant. So many other ideas, many other challenges I have come to know, because when we made guidelines, we included that in the schedule only. There were 16 products, but we tried to accommodate them within the 6, because 8 substances within the schedule. But this schedule will not remain the same. As the research grows, more and more substances will find place in the schedule. And the schedule, like in case of pesticide schedule, when I joined 2013, there were only 500 odd number of chemicals and pesticides were there in the schedule, pesticide schedule. Today there are 966 molecules which are having pesticidal value have been included in schedule. So many more as we realize, as we do research, and now the academia was also not working, IRI was not working for any biostimulant. But now with your registration, with your coming forward, and now we are all aware that there is something in biostimulant, and like biofertilizers, biopesticides, biocides, now biostimulants are also going to be researched, and definitely such kind of technologies will come in your hand, and we will learn from you, we will take feedback from you, we will try to remove them. Whatever guidelines which were made at that time, we never thought that there will be several challenges, but then we knew that there will be challenges will be coming. But government is very proactive, because when it is kept under fertilizer control order, they themselves want to keep it separate from CIBRC. In CIBRC, there are more than 10,000 pesticides are in line now. We are finding it difficult to go for registration, because there are larger and stringent guidelines are made. But here we have made certain very basic 9 studies we have made, but no chronic toxicity has been demanded. Bioefficacy studies, and in the world it is said that because it's such a complicated process, seaweed alone there are 10,000 species of green, blue and red algae and brown algae, not blue, red algae, green algae and brown algae. So these are there. So 10,000 species, and all of them have, and at least brown algae has 456 chemical constituents which are known. So when this the biostimulant cell of the committee, when they ask me, I say, if they are adding, somebody is adding for the seaweed extract, don't bother about the method of analysis, because you cannot do it, because nobody knows there may be 400 components of that extract. But if somebody says that it has a alginate, or if it has a laminarin, because laminarin is also used for plant defense, so then we may go for method of estimation, and that's why subcommittee has been made, because we have serious dearth of people in the government who are specialized for analyzing the biostimulant. And with you, definitely with the needs, we are also trying to develop our laboratories. Dr. Anupama, she will be coming, Singh will be coming to deliver her talk about herbal extracts and all, which you have asked her to tell about. And she might be telling about what are the plans in the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, which is one of the oldest agricultural institute. Stimulant remains stuck. It is our headache at the time. We would like to see the rationale, whether it can be, if we ask for method of analysis, we ourselves, our committee will feel that whether it can be analyzed, whether it is needed to be analyzed, whether certain toxicity needs to be done, whether certain limits needs to be fixed, because plant growth regulators are there in some other guidelines. But then we need to fix. We have already made a committee has been made, which is trying to fix the limit of, because you cannot make a biostimulant free from plant growth regulators. There will be some kind of plant growth regulator, but when you are adding a higher concentration of plant growth regulator, they act as a pesticide. Certainly at that time they go under legislation of Plant Protection and Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee. But then nevertheless our committee is seeing that how we can fix the minimum amount of brasinolides, minimum amount of chitosan, which is a carbohydrate which is also there. And there are certain inborn, there are certain problems which have, or challenges which have come there, or constraints which are there in the guidelines, which we have eyed upon, and we ourselves will be taking care of with the amendment, with the subsequent amendment of biostimulant under FCO. Those kind of things will be coming up. And also I felt that in the schedule there are 966 chemicals, out of which many of the chemicals have a dual function for biostimulant. Biostimulants have chitosan, biostimulants may have vitamin, biostimulants may have brasinolide. So they are all there in CIBRC schedule or pesticide schedule. A committee has been made. A committee, again, government is not sitting idle. Government, whatever government says, it may not be opening it up, but there are committees which are, and in fact, incidentally, that I was the chairman of that committee also. Before I joined as a member of ASRB, I was asked by Honorable Minister of State to see that what are the compounds which needs to be removed from the pesticide schedule, so that they can freely become a part of the biostimulant. So the biostimulant people should not ask you to develop guidelines as per CIBRC or pesticide rules. So those kind of things are all whatever challenges you are feeling, we have noted those challenges, and definitely in the hiccups which are coming in the provisional registration, which has already started, and those are being done as it was submitted, and it will be slowly all the process will be, and I can bet you that the registration for biostimulants will be easier compared to the pesticide. So in days to come, because government feel in the natural farming, in the organic farming, of course, natural resource management under which biostimulant comes, and such and the guidelines, and greatly because he is equivalent to additional secretary for the NRM. So I'm very happy, Dr. Chaudhary, that you have made it, because I know today, as I said, that DSC and ICR interface and all those kind of meetings are going on. These are very important meetings which are chaired by Honorable AM and other MOS. So, but he took out some time for us. We are very grateful to you, sir. And so this is Association of Agro Input Manufacturers who are into the biostimulant, manufacture of biostimulant. So, and as I said, the biostimulant is a new category of substance, which may be a substance or a microorganism other than pesticide and other than fertilizers. So, so there are certain limits that heavy metal should be within certain limits. Pesticide should be not be there. There are certain issues, sir. I would when I make. I realized that when we made the guidelines, and we are the only country in the world, as you know, that who have regulated the use of biostimulant. Till now, biostimulant, and Maharashtra is one of the heaviest user of biostimulants in the country. Till now, it was not regulated. But in the name of biostimulant, like Kerala government recently 250 so-called biostimulants and chemicals have been found, and they were a mix of pesticides. So farmers, gullible farmers, they do not actually understand what it is. They are given a packet and they may be containing pesticides, but they are not regulated because they are told biostimulants. So the huge amount of all these things necessitated planning commission to make guidelines, and we started in, sir, I was the chairman for the biostimulant committee by Honorable DG, and then 2018 we finally gave the guidelines, and India is the first country to have guidelines for registration of biostimulant, and they have started registering under NRM division of the DSC. There is a special committee which has been made by CVC is there, where you are the honorable member, one of the member, and besides DDG crop science, and then you have also constituted a subcommittee who is looking out of with I think Dr. Vishwanath as the chairman of that subcommittee, and they are trying to work about various methods for, because it's such a new science. There were 47 definitions of biostimulants till 2017, and we churned it up, and finally we tried to make, and we gave a definition which now the whole world is trying to accept it, adopt it. Australia, USA and European Union. So, sir, I spoke whatever I had to say, that biostimulant is growing at the rate of 16.49% CAGR compared to agrochemicals, chemicals which are growing simply at the rate of 6 to 8% at the moment. So, and we have now over 217 million US$ worth of markets, and it will be having a great potential. Seaweeds, we have a large sea coast, and then many of the institutes are marine institutes. ICR has 107 institutes, out of which marine institutes are also there. They know now the importance of seaweeds. They have started growing and cultivating. So there are certain issues which start coming there when they take it. Pesticide of 0.01%, which we ourselves, which is called default value, with no pesticide. But then in the air, in the contaminant, in the raw materials, where the seaweeds are grown, those water also contain certain. So we are trying to give certain our certain concerns which are genuine. If the limit can be increased to 0.05, because 0.05 does not control any pest. But then, because the raw materials, when I go to Codex, when I used to go to Codex, Codex used to fix the ml levels of arsenic, which is considered very harmful. Based on the geogenic nature, because they are geogenic nature, one does not have a control over it to manage. So whatever, based on the risk assessment, they used to fix. So 0.01 means if in the air also somebody has applied, so that will also, because the sensitive GLC, LC-MSMS, GC-MSMS are so strong, so sensitive that if you have not, and it does not serve any purpose of the biostimulant manufacturer, 0.01, because it will not kill any pesticide. But sometimes there is that much is there. So it is banned. It is not allowed. So certain limits have to be raised. Where similarly, sir, plant growth regulators. Plant growth regulators are covered by this thing, CIBRC. But plant growth regulator is an essential component of biofuel. So we have said that CBC, that subcommittee should look into what is the natural amount of plant growth regulator which are there in the plant itself. So in the biostimulant it should be allowed, because they should not say no, it will be, you have to develop 18 different kind of tests to have a plant growth regulator in the biostimulant. Because biostimulant also found brasinolides, even vitamins are also there, which are there in the schedule. So we need to pesticide schedule. So if somebody try to use vitamin D3, I don't know how it has gone into the pesticide schedule. So one has to develop at least 18 different tests. So which will be very enormous. So such amount. So those kind of things we have to have a relook into that. A committee was made. I could not finish that task when I was ADG, because I had to join as a member in between. So many of the things are, and it's a beginning, sir. It is beginning has been made, and definitely everything good will be there. And I can assure that government and people, proactive people like Dr. Chaudhary is there as a leader in these things, and working hand in hand with the authorities who are giving registration. Definitely you will be able to solve all your rational demands. And with these words, I would end up here. And if
motivating and thought-provoking words. Sir has been always for this various tasks that we have already accomplished, like pool data that we will be seeing after some time. So he has been advising us in the right direction. So thank you very much, sir, for that. Meanwhile, we welcome Dr. Suresh Chaudhary ji. Dr. Suresh Chaudhary has been is associated with NRM division as a DDG, and he's from Maharashtra, Nagpur, so must be very close to us also. So I request AIM President Rajkumar Durgade ji to welcome Dr. Chaudhary.
My scientist colleague from Indian Council of Agricultural Research and I think Terry or
yes,
Terry. Indeed, it is a great pleasure to be here, and I'm thankful to Dr. Chakravarti ji, who was insisting and continuously pursuing, and Mr. Pathare also came to my office. As such, this sector is a very, very attractive sector, and I do not know how much idea you have about when such guidelines are to be prepared first time in the country, that too at the global level when there is no reference available, and then creating a new kind of guidelines for regulating the quality and also making it a regulatory instrument to control and check the quality of such kind of materials on ground. That too, I would say that the sector is not a very well organized sector still, though you have association and all, but what I understand, still the sector is not very well organized. Under such kind of situation, creating guidelines is really a difficult task. I remember once we were supposed to attend one parliamentary committee meeting in Mumbai. Dr. Chakravarti and myself, we stayed together in one hotel, and while walking in the evening, that time he spoke, I think it was in 2016 or 15 somewhere. So he spoke that biostimulant is one category we need to do something, because that examination was for fertilizer consumption. So since then, Dr. Chakravarti was thinking in this line, and he was continuously working on this. And our colleagues in Department of Agriculture Cooperation, that time now Department of Farmers Welfare, they were also very serious about it. And then Honorable Director General of ICR, Dr. Trilochan Mahapatra, took this task, and the committee was made, and then a lot of deliberations took place, and slowly some guidelines emerged. Please understand, this is not the final guideline, and no guideline is final. There is always scope for improvement. When FCO came in this country, that time also nobody was aware what kind of quality parameters we should stick to, what kind of standards we should lay out, and should we adopt the European standards or American standard, whereas the Indian conditions are varying contrastly from any grasslands or tundra or any other kind of agroecology for that matter. So in 60s, 70s and 80s, a lot of deliberations took place. It never took a final shape. The present, the FCO, when it came into existence, that time a lot of deliberations were there. And till now, even day before yesterday, there was a meeting this CFC meeting was there. In that also some modifications we did. And these modifications are being done to the level of definitions. Right from definition, defining, redefining, restructuring, up to the finalization and giving a green signal to the new formulations. The biostimulant guidelines will also have to see all these phases, and it will go through all this. And present guideline is an elementary guideline or elementary tool, which is subject to a lot of modifications in future. I was talking to Mr. Pathare that this sector as such has roughly 5,000 plus small, medium and large kind of manufacturers in this area. And I would like to say that some of the states, right from beginning, they were very much aware. It dates back to 1975 or 76 when Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit, I found some references where they started working in biostimulant area, although the word biostimulant was not there at that time. But the principles, laid out principles, were the same as we are studying today. Subsequently on seaweed, I think in 90s or 95, 96 somewhere, there was small deliberation took place in Dapoli, the Konkan Krishi Vidyapit of Maharashtra. There also they debated a lot of issues of seaweed extracts and seaweed use in agriculture sector. Subsequently in Navsari Agriculture University of Gujarat, some discussions took place. But systematic study and systematic thesis, the dissertation work I found in MPKV Rahuri as well as in Dapoli in these areas. They were based on physiological studies, based on some soil health issues, based on some rhizosphere activities. So this kind of informations were available at that time sporadically. So from that point of view, I would appreciate the role of this association, that at least this association is there, which is bringing this kind of information, which in future will serve as a source of information, or it will work as a bureau, information bureau for biostimulants and its impact on agriculture sector as a whole. So from that point of view, I think the scientific standing of this association is very, very important. Today, it may not sound very strong that association is working here and sitting together, 115, 20 members are there. Out of that, 80% members are only from Maharashtra also. But in future, these things will be recorded properly, documented properly, and future this association, I'm pretty sure that this will act as one of the repository of information in biostimulant area, because no such kind of repository is available for biostimulants. The fertilizer research in this country or pesticide research in this country is very old. We started experimenting on fertilizers in 60s. When fertilizers first introduced, the consumption was 10 to 15 kg per hectare that time. Slowly it moved up. Many fertilizer products and fertilizer formulations, they emerged in this country, and many of them, they disappeared. Disappeared mainly because of they were not very strong on scientific footing and its impact on soil health and plant growth and development. That's why some of the fertilizer formulations, they went out of the scenario of Indian agriculture. The same thing in biostimulant sector also, because when biostimulant in 2014, when I joined as ADG here in ICR, that time I found many people used to come with their applications, their products, that we want to register this product in FCO. The simple definition of fertilizers was the basis of rejection. This is not fertilizer, cannot stand in the category of fertilizers, so it is out of the FCO list. So thanks to these guidelines and government's way forward and way out to accommodate this as a separate schedule initially, and now a separate regulatory body is there for this. So biostimulants, certainly now when we are moving this country and we are looking forward for so many alternatives, certainly the biostimulants will have a future. Now organics, then natural, and previously we used to talk about the Vedic agriculture, the Homa farming, and so many variants of agriculture. The history of agriculture in India is thousands of years back. And in Mahabharata period also, agriculture was performed. In Vedic era also agriculture was performed. That time, several systematic principles were there for agriculture. In many references you will find, since many of you are from Maharashtra, you know very well the epic, what we call it is Gnaneshwari. Sant Gnaneshwara wrote that time. And in that Gnaneshwari Grantha, you will find there are several examples are from agricultural field. Rather, most of the examples they are from agricultural field. And there also, many things are taught, and it appears that that time also, 800 years back, agriculture was performed with systematic principles. Even Tirukkural of Tamil Nadu, Tiruvalluvar wrote, and he has also given many principles. And there also, you will find that 60% of the Grantha is dedicated for agricultural practices. So biostimulant, although name was not there as a biostimulant, but these products, these indigenous, they were not artificially made, they were indigenous, they were natural products, they were there. And practicing principles were also there. What we call today the natural farming also, ultimately it is one of the variant of traditional agricultural practices. And why government as well as the scientists, why we want to find out ways and means to push it? Because our dependence on mineral fertilizer is too high. It is too high, dear friends. And time has reached when we have to look for some alternatives. Alternatives, organic farming cannot be the straightway alternative for the whole country. Similarly, natural farming. We do not say that this alternative is for whole the country. So we need to identify niche areas and niche commodities where and when these principles can be applied. Biostimulants in this regard can play an important role where it can fit in various forms, and certainly it helps for the better growth and development of the crops. Some of the experiments in some areas I have seen in some of the institutes, ICR institutes also, where people are trying biostimulants. At the same time, they are reducing the fertilizer dose by half, adding biostimulants. and they are getting on par yield. This is what they are claiming for 1 or 2 years next experimentation. So biostimulants, if it is able to supplement some of the requirement, this nutrient requirement cannot be supplemented, of course, but it certainly helps in better physiological functioning of the plant growth and its development and its root development, which results into better uptake of nutrients from the soil. So with the limited amount, if you are able to enhance the efficiency, use efficiency or uptake efficiency, probably it ultimately leads to the saving in mineral fertilizers or saving in nutrients. So this way it fits in the views of Government of India and Government of India's priority, where government is very serious to reduce the consumption of fertilizers. Present consumption, although is 150 kg, 147 kg, is not very high compared to global scenario. But in India also, you will find that there are roughly 300 districts which are using very high amount of fertilizers. More than 200 kg or more than 250 kg, more than 200 districts are there, 250 districts are there. And this consumption is really a matter of worry. Whereas there are areas like in northeast hilly regions or some hilly regions in Himalaya, east and west Himalaya, where fertilizer consumption is almost negligible, very less consumption. In those areas, if biostimulants plays a role, then probably agriculture is going to flourish. One more additional point which came into the forefront of the agriculture policy makers now, people are trying to understand that how these biostimulants helps in improvement to the quality of the food, whether it's vegetables, whether it's pulses or oil seeds, improvement in the quality of food. And if this happens and if it is established systematically, probably then this is going to be another breakthrough in this area. So I will not take much of your time. Just I wanted to randomly express my thoughts and tell you that your presence and your association is very, very important for the country. So that whether it is rain-fed area or irrigated area, all arenas, all ecologies, rain-fed, irrigated, hills, coastal and deserts, everybody should take advantage and get advantage of this biostimulant. And my best wishes and best compliments to the association, and I hope the deliberations and the recommendations which will emerge from this discussion will be of great help. And Dr. Chakravarti is there, and your office bearers will send the recommendations to different corners. It will automatically reach to me as well, and I will be keen to read those recommendations, what was the outcome and what are the best recommendations out of these. So thank you very much to the organizers. Thanks for inviting me, and all the very best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you very much for your guidance, and we will certainly keep the thoughts in our mind. Indian Agriculture Research Institute, IRI. So. Dr. Pushpalata Singh, and I would like to call upon Mr. Vaibhav Kashikar to felicitate and welcome Dr. Anupama Singh, Indian Agriculture Research Institute. Since we are running late and
so I'm going to talk about nanomaterial and their usage as biostimulants. However, I'll first start with an introduction about what are nanomaterials and if they can be used as biostimulants. We know they can be very well used as nanonutrients, but talking about the mass balance ratio and when they are being used as nanonutrients, if they are just taken up as nutrients or they are also playing mechanism wherein they are acting as biostimulants. So before I go on the actual topic, I would like to introduce my center, and we all know that by using conventional fertilizers, we are harming the environment. The impact on environment is increasing, however the yield is decreasing. So we are using these or using the conventional fertilizers, conventional pesticides in big amount, in huge application dosages, and yet the yield is decreasing. Their use efficiency is decreasing, and that is primarily because the soil has gone bad and the use efficiency of all the conventional material is going down. So we now need to look at alternatives where the material would be applied in very small amount, very negligible amount in comparison to the conventional fertilizer, and still we will realize benefit in sustainable manner. So on these foundation, Terry Deakin Nanobiotechnology Center was created, and this was inaugurated in 2017 by our Prime Minister and the Australian Prime Minister. The Center of Excellence for Advanced Research in Agriculture Nanotechnology. The center has been awarded to this has been awarded to Terry Deakin Nanobiotechnology Center by DBT, and the goal here is development of novel and efficient nano-agro products or technologies to meet the global food demand, along with protecting environment that is in a sustainable manner. So we develop nanomaterials, all kind of nano-agri inputs. Then we carry out their safety analysis. So we have another center of excellence from DBT for carrying out safety analysis of all these nanomaterials, starting from in vitro to the all different kind of model systems for human and plants. And then we simultaneously carry out field trials with ICAR institutes. The USP of our center is we are the pioneers for developing these nanomaterials through biogenic route. So other industries are also developing nanomaterials, but they are using either a physical method or a chemical method. But Terry Deakin Nanobiotechnology Center is developing it using absolutely a green approach or a biogenic approach. So what we understand by biogenic approach is we are using a microbial species for reducing bulk material into nanoform. We have also contributed towards the guidelines. So these guidelines were very important to bring these nanomaterials into application in the environment. So we have helped DBT in formulating these guidelines. Terry was the nodal agency for formulation of these guidelines, and here we have covered all the aspects for safety assessment and efficacy assessment of nanomaterials. And now the center has multiple micronutrients and macronutrients, including nanophosphorus, nano NPK, nano DAP, nano urea among macronutrients, and among micronutrients we have nanoboron, nanosulfur, nanomagnesium. We also have prepared some nanopesticides, and then we have delivery vehicles, very smart delivery vehicles which can deliver both conventional fertilizers as well as nanonutrients in a controlled manner. So, and the characterization facility that we have is the best in Asia, and we have all the facilities for characterizing these nanomaterials. So we characterize them, then we go for third-party characterization also with NABL laboratory, safety assessment again with NABL laboratory, and efficacy testing with ICAR. This slide shows in the right side panel, you can see that when I apply DAP versus when I apply nanophosphorus, how the use efficiency increment is there, and the use efficiency goes up to 90% in this particular case. So for all our nanomaterials, the use efficiency is above 85%. And all these materials, when applied either through seed or applied by foliar application, they go inside the plant, they go inside the subcompartments of cell, and they exert their effect. Coming to biostimulants, we all understand that these materials are required in very minute quantities, and they exert different kind of effects They enhance water use efficiency, root structure, nutrient use efficiency. They also enhance disease tolerance and induce systemic resistance and stress tolerance. So we all know about it. And there are various categories which was presented by Mr. Pathare here. Marked in blue are the categories that Terry work on. So we work on inorganic compounds, nanonutrients, nanopesticides. We work with beneficial fungi, that is mycorrhizal fungi. We have the biggest production facility for mycorrhizal fungi in India and Asia as well. Then we also work with beneficial bacteria. And how they can exert different kind of effect is probably known to all of us, and they benefit in multiple manners. Now, nanomaterials. What are nanomaterials? Nanomaterials can exist in different dimensions. They can be existing in 0 dimension, and the examples are nanodots. They can also be existing in 1, 2 or 3D. And there are various examples for them: nanobars, nanowires as 1D material, nanofilms and nanolayers as 2D material, and then graphite polycrystals, diamond graphite oxide as 3D material. So nanostructures are material or structures with at least one dimension at nanoscale, that is 10 to the power minus 9 nanometer. So if there is a 3D material, not all the dimensions need to be in nano, only one dimension is at least required in nanoscale. So that is a nanomaterial. And when we reduce bulk to nano, what happens? The ratio between surface area and volume increases. So the high surface area is acquired, and when there is high surface area, these materials become very efficacious. Their interaction with different biological surfaces increase, they become more reactive, and then they exert the beneficial effect. Here is a comparison between bulk and nano. I will just read out what nano does. So there is a large surface to volume ratio as compared to bulk. Significantly more percentage of atoms at the surface, making it more reactive. Chemical and physical properties of all these nanomaterials can be very, very tweaked, and they can be functionalized in different manner for delivery or for exerting any kind of physiological effect. Then there is enhanced absorption, and there are several examples that I will cover later. Now, since the surface area increases, there is another point that needs to be noted, that when there is increased interaction with biological surfaces, these interactions can be toxic as well. So we need to know if the material that has been synthesized by us is safe or is it going to be toxic. So we need to assess all our materials for safety. Then nanoparticles, how they may putatively behave as biostimulant is, nanomaterials have a high density to surface charge capable of interacting with the surface charge of the plant cell walls and membranes of the plant cell, and then they influence the regulations of various genes, and by that they help in the better plant growth and also resistance to different biotic stress. So again, this slide explains what at physiochemical and biochemical level may happen. So under physiochemical process, the energy and surface charges of the nanoparticles and nanomaterials impact the surface of walls and cell membranes of plant. They modify the activity of receptors which are present on cell surface or transporter and other proteins as well. And at biochemical level, the biochemical processes respond to the release of chemical elements from these nanoparticle and nanomaterial. These reactions would be analogous to the response to metal ions or organic molecules in their bulk form. However, at nanoscale, it will become highly efficacious. So, we have developed certain nanofertilizers and nanopesticides, and would these fertilizers be behaving also as a biostimulant in addition to nutrients, in addition to macro or micronutrients? The science is still going around. I mean, different academic institutions also, we are investigating for this fact whether they are acting only as nutrients or they are also acting as gene regulator, or they are regulating the biochemical mechanisms. So this science is still going on, and we have tested almost all our material with 12 ICR centers, and we are seeing around 8 to 15% enhancement in yield in different crops. The crop which has more foliage, more leafy area, it is having more enhancement in yield in comparison to those which have lesser area. These are some of the examples of nanopesticides. We have tested it against Alternaria solanae, and we see that even when the dosage is reduced by 16 times, sometimes by 50 times, there is almost equivalent effect to that of a market available regular copper-based pesticide or sulfur-based pesticides. Then we have smart delivery systems, and from these smart delivery systems we can achieve controlled release, and they these systems work in a fashion that they conceal the active ingredient from the environment, and the active ingredient remain for much longer time. It remains available to the plant for much longer time. So I'll develop on that a little later. Stimulants. Till now I covered materials which were nanonutrients or nanopesticides, and these nutrients may also be acting as nano biostimulants. Now coming particularly to biostimulant varieties that we have prepared, we have nanozeolite and nanoclay. We understand that these are beautiful soil conditioners, and the effect is they as a soil conditioner, they also stimulate the underground biota, and the effect is then realized that there is mobilization of fixed nutrients in the soil, and that becomes available to the plant. So we have nanozeolites and nanoclay made for this purpose. These are highly porous material, and they can also carry a biostimulant or an active ingredient in that. The possible application of these green carbon nanomaterial are: they can act as stimulant, they can act as light converters. I'll develop on this concept in the next slide. Then they can also work as delivery tool, the way I explained for nanoclay and nanozeolite. They can work as beautiful nanosensor, and we can use these nanosensor for tracking any of the biostimulants that we have applied, where it is going, how it is affecting the plant. Also for detecting contaminants in the soil of any particular nutrient that you want to detect in the soil, these nanosensors can be used. So coming to the stimulant aspect, this is a study from ACS, Applied Biomaterials, in 2018, and here multiple carbon dots of size around 5 nanometer were synthesized, and systematic investigation provided insight into the different processes by which seed germination, root elongation, seedling length, rubisco activity, and carbohydrate generation was enhanced. So our group is also associated with international partners, and we are also uncovering similar aspects of nanodot. And these nanodots can also act as beautiful light converter, and they can be used to convert poorly absorbed ultraviolet light into highly absorbed visible light to improve the conversion efficiency of the light used by IAA, indole acetic acid. And how they are acting as biostimulants, we are seeing they are enhancing almost all the good aspect about a plant. They are enhancing seed germination, photosynthesis, shoot biomass, leaf area, root length, root biomass, water uptake, and number of lateral roots as well, and also helping in managing abiotic stress effects. So here, and reduced nanographene oxide can be used as an effective nanocarrier system for plant growth regulators, and all these materials can act as beautiful plant biostimulants by increasing plant growth parameters. So on the right hand panel is the group that has contributed towards the study. These include Professor Himadri Gohida, Dr. Mandira Gochar, Dr. Shruti Shukla, Dr. Palash Manna, and these are two students who are contributing towards this work. We also acknowledge DBT India, DST India, and Deakin University Australia for the beautiful infrastructure for carrying out nanobiotechnology science that we have. Thank you.
I know Dr. Malhotra. He's the Agriculture Commissioner, the chairman of Registration Committee of Central Insecticide Board. So he has been into it, And because so far in the world, nowhere biopesticides have been or pesticides could be used for. There is no regulatory mechanism for use of nano pesticides. So will the biostimulant also will be applied in the same way as pesticide? Will it need a different regulation?
So for all the nano agri inputs, we have got the regulation. Answer would be better to answer this, but I think we would not require separate regulation now that we have the nano regulation in place for all agri inputs. We would not be requiring. Yes, there can be addition made for the levels, for the amount that can be used as biostimulants. Yes, that can be additionally done. So your view, please.
Products, nano inputs in particular. So here Department of Science and Technology, they took the initiative, some broad guidelines were made. And then in the broad guidelines, I was also member of that committee. And then I specifically gave a recommendation that there are several inputs. There is a range of inputs which are now being used in the agriculture, and where there is a scope for further developing the nano products. So you take example of pesticides, another is fertilizers, and then third one is biostimulants. Today we are here to discuss about that. So these are the inputs. So inputs are directly used on the plants, and here biopesticides, worldwide there is a kind of reservation that if nano biopesticides are used, then they may cause a kind of health hazard or some kind of risk involvement is there. So then when the broad guidelines were made, I clearly mentioned that there are specific regulatory systems for each product. Pesticides, we have Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee. For fertilizers, it will be covered by the under the FCO, Central Fertilizer Committee is there, and similarly for biostimulants also. So then for fertilizers, we have already registered. I was the chairperson of Central Fertilizer Committee also, and then we registered nano urea, but we declined for nano zinc and nano copper. So because we analyzed from that point of view that how much risk is involved into it, considering the risk point in mind, because zinc and copper both are metals. They may create its own chemistry. They may create. So this threat kind of situation is there. But nano urea, there is no risk is involved. Much risk is not involved, because once you convert it into nano urea, it will convert into the amino acids and further absorption and others. Dr. Anupama is also sitting with us. So this is the science behind it. But for pesticides, the risk will still prevail, because we are going to apply such nano biopesticides in the open conditions where some kind of aerosols or something may prevail. It may contaminate our environment, and it may put an hazard to the human, to the health, to the animal health, to the microbial, etc., etc. So worldwide still there is a reservation, but as the point was made that do we need to have a separate regulatory authority? No separate regulatory authority is needed. If you come out with a biopesticide, with a pesticide which is a nano in nature, it will go to the Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee, where a separate guidelines will be made. Dr. Chakravarti has been the chairperson of the many subcommittees. I remember. So similarly, we constitute the subcommittee, we make the guidelines, we make the standard operating procedure. This way things move and are go on. Okay, thank you.
So in the same context, one, because you had presented, you talked about the nano, actually this is in context of what Dr. Chakravarti and Dr. Malhotra ji is saying. You talked about the nano fertilizers, and like you gave it in the light of the biostimulants. So my concern is whether the nano fertilizers be taken into the category of biostimulants.
So ma'am, I presented it as an enigma because the science is lacking behind it. Nanonutrients, when they are provided in a dosage less than 200 times or even 500 times. If I'm taking the example of urea, The nano urea that we have developed, which is a biogenic nano urea, the application dosage gets reduced by 500 times. Now 500 times reduction, and when we are talking about mass balance ratio, probably this nano urea would not be able to fulfill that requirement. So it has effect as a nanonutrient, but simultaneously probably it is also stimulating other biostimulants which are present underground the soil, or maybe also interacting with the cell, plant cell, and modifying different regulatory mechanisms.
Fair enough, but then as a chemist, I have my point that on one side we are saying that the size reduction is leading to the enhancement of those characteristics of the material, that is the fertilizer, which leads to, because then we have the more and more particles per unit of the material, and that's how the material is expressing its effect as a fertilizer. But if it is not the case, then I think then the nanomaterials which are derived from these fertilizers, sir, then they should not be called as, means I just consider it as for the policy people, they should not be then put into the category of the nano fertilizers. Then they will be the materials derived from the fertilizers but converted into the biostimulants. So it means they won't be called as the nano fertilizer. So
More debate is required there.
yeah, because it's a chemistry vis-a-vis the physiology which has to come together in defining the terminology part of it.
So even when we talk about the chemistry aspect, even after nano conversion, more surface area is available. But when we talk in terms of ions of say phosphorus or nitrogen, how many ions are becoming available? So that needs to be balanced out. Are we reaching that number of ions but when we are applying nanonutrients? So all that science is remaining to be done. I mean, different institutes are carrying out that science, but that needs to be done still. Thank you, ma'am.
Then it will be considered as a biostimulant. So the guidelines for biostimulant very clearly says that it should be independent of the mechanism of action. And this feeling comes from a point of view as both the scientist as well as the manufacturer now. So for the definition of these guidelines, maybe the committee could consider.
Request Dr. Vishwanathan to please be on stage. And since Dr. Pushpalata wants to leave early, so I request the AIM President to kindly felicitate her with her token of appreciation.
Yes, sir, please. Sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
And also welcome Dr. Vishwanathan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I request Dr. Anupama Singh, who is the head principal scientist, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, IARI. She has.
Mr. Pathari, in fact, your concluding statement has put me in jitters because you said that she is here to share with us the difficulties faced by the manufacturers. So I am not on the manufacturer side, but yes, of course, during my discussion with the stakeholders of our industry, it's quite evident, and we can correlate also on the researchers side. So I'll try to do the justice whatever possible from my end to the topic which was given to me, and that was like herbal extracts biostimulant analysis. What are the challenges and what are the available options? At the very outset, before I start my presentation, as a matter of fact, the term herbal extracts or the botanical extracts or the plant extracts, they all have that's a generic term which can be applied to the biostimulants in present context of the event. That can be applied, means I'm talking about the term plant extracts or the botanical extracts. That can be applied, you all know, to the biopesticides. That can be applied to the medicines. That can be applied to Ayurveda. That can be applied to whatnot. So to the drugs. So in that context, the problems of all the sectors is a common that comprise a common platform, and that common platform is how to establish the quality and how to correlate the authenticity and how to determine the marker compounds or the markers based on which it can be established that the product contains the active ingredients in terms of what the term is the herbal extract. Otherwise, herbal extract or the plant extract is not an active ingredient in a product. It's a combination, it's a mixture of various active ingredients which combine together, they interact together, and that results in a synergistic manner, or they may be working parallelly to result in the expression of their desired effect. So, in context of the stimulant, when we say the herbal extracts, so I will not dwell upon the biostimulant sector per se. It will be the plant extracts per se. What are the constraints and what are the available options? Now, in context of the biostimulant sector for which today's event has been organized, based on my very limited time interaction with Mr. Patare and his team, who had once come to the Division of Agricultural Chemicals, whom I represent today, it was very clear that based on the point that they had reflected, that since it represents in our country small to the medium to of course some large sized manufacturers, there is a lack of clarity about the kind of analysis, the kind of the guidelines, the kind of protocols that have to be followed in order to determine the identity of a botanical extract in a particular product. And that is bound to happen because, as we can say, and as Dr. Chaudhary in his remarks had stated very clearly, that it will take some time for the biostimulant sector also to come up to the level of the biopesticide industry and also to come to the tune of the other industries of the agro inputs. Of course, but it will take time, and I think today's event is one of the beginning points of that in context of the plant extracts. So, as per the gadget notification, it is very clearly written in that. I have tried to highlight the points where I like to dwell upon, that the specifications of the biostimulants, including its name, active ingredients, or where it is not possible to indicate the active ingredients, then its chemical composition, name of the crop to which it, no. So then its chemical composition. So it struck me, because when we are talking about the active ingredient or the chemical composition, then the chemical composition, to determine the chemical composition for a small scale manufacturer will be a tedious process. And if we talk about from the regulatory angle, then for the regulatory laboratory also, it's a 24/7 365-day task, because into as Mr. Patare had shown in his slides, that there are some 7 or 8 kind of those biostimulants which have been notified and which have been recognized. But they have their own identities which are very discrete, and you can find the reference materials for that, and they can be used as the standards, and accordingly the quality can be tested and identity can be established. But in case of the plant extracts, the R&D on the plant extracts by the industry, with the kind of biodiversity that we have in our country and across the globe, the kind of the R&D which is being done based on the permutation combinations and the ever evolving science which is there in the discovery sector, it's a ever challenging task to determine the chemistry of the plant extracts. So this is something which I'm sure must be a worrying factor for the biostimulant industry. So then what are the solutions? Because he also has shown, Mr. Patare also has shown in his last but concluding slide, that this is a point of concern regarding the plant extracts. What is the data to be generated regarding the chemistry part? So for that purpose, I would like to put up in my next 3-4. I have tried not to put in many of the slides. I rather like to take each of the slide and discuss with you, like put before you what are like the views of mine as a chemist, and how you, and as a analyst, and then how and then in the end how the problem can be fixed as a single platform onto which this kind of some sort of infrastructure, some sort of system in mechanism in a logistic form can be generated. For plant extracts, they can be adulterated in a very a very soft and the smooth manner. Why? Because it's a question of enhancing the bioefficacy or the bioactivity or the expression of that particular product without changing the without changing the composition. How can we do it? I'm not teaching here how to do the adulteration, but I'm just flagging upon that. And that is how it is done, sir. And that is how, sir, in that subcommittee meetings it has also come up that what if somebody is adding, for example, say some flavon is there, some flavonoid is there, or some terpenoid is there into a plant extract based product, which is actually responsible for causing the physiological response into the plant. And what if the physiology, if that particular flavon in its pure form is added? So that means we are spiking the herbal product with some active ingredient that is there, and that the manufacturers, I would say ill intention will be okay with that particular amount. If I can reach to the composition, then fair enough. But no, it has many repercussions. One repercussion is that you are manipulating the authenticity of the material. Authenticity has a lot to do with the origin of the material. So one is the manipulating the authenticity, and second is because if you are adding, say it's a leaf extract which you have claimed in your data label, but the leaf extract contains, say, 0.1% of terpenoid, which is responsible for causing that effect which is there in the plant. On the other hand, the root of that particular plant may be having more of that terpenoid, so you will be adding the root part of that in your extract, and then who will be there, means with a view that who will be there to find out. So you are handling, means the concerned applicator is actually manipulating the identity and the authenticity of the product per se. So this is what is the exact issue of the adulteration, which has to be actually looked into while we are dealing with the herbal extract products, and that is where the methods of analysis have to play a crucial role in that. So a useful tool for the benchmark comparison for prevention of this adulteration is usually we talked about as the certified reference materials. That those materials which have been characterized adequately based on their bioefficacy, based on their results, and then combining them and then correlating it with their in silico observation, and also correlating it with their the common characterization techniques which are there. So based on that, these certified reference materials are available and then they were used as the standards. But do we have the choice of certified reference materials for plant extracts as adequately as we have for the commonly for the pesticides or for the other kind of non-herbal extract compositions? No. That's the problem that we also face at the R&D part of it, when we have to do some sort of non-target analysis of some new materials, which are, for example, some new plant. The other day, one of my PhD students, he was doing some work on the Acorus calamus, which is a plant, which is a herb taken from the Himalayas. It's a shrub, sorry, it's taken from the Himalayas, and it has some very good properties because of its aromatic character. The problem that we usually face is regarding the bioefficacy is of course proven, but what about the chemistry? We don't have the reference materials. So here, that's why, because I have been asked to put upon the constraint part of it. So if we have to determine the authenticity or the quality of the herbal extract, then one way is to have the certified reference material at the regulatory end or at the manufacturer's end. But do we have that many certified reference materials? No. Even Sigma Aldrich, even Merck, even the even the the best of the best chemical providing companies in the world, they also face this kind of somewhere. No, we don't have. So that is the problem, and for that purpose there is a need, sir, for developing a futuristic part, that CRM R&D should also be one of the component at the regulatory level, which should be given impetus as a futuristic aspect. So this is where, sir, just like in NPL, when we do the work on the pesticide residues, and when we do not have the certified reference materials, so they participate in the certified reference material manufacturing. So these kind of R&D in best of the best institutes of the country is possible, wherein all the time R&D, it's a long term R&D point, so that this approach can be followed. But since it is a very recurring sort of, it's a recurring cost basically. With the new material, you have a new certified reference material requirement, and 10 years from now there is some other requirement. So it's a recurring cost kind of thing, a highly capital intensive procedure. So what are the options which are available as alternatives? In my next 2 or 3 slides I'll talk about those. LC-MS and the HPLC, they are the commonly used techniques. But for the purpose of the your unknown identities, wherein you have taken out a herb from Himalayas, from Northeast, or from Andaman Nicobar, or from some part of the world, or anywhere, and even from the new seaweeds kind of stuff which you get. And then you say that, okay, it's mind-blowing, it is leading to the biostimulant activity, never reported. So, but the chemical profiling of that has not been done so far. So what to do? For that purpose, we resort to the non-targeted profiling, and that is usually done with the help of the highly advanced LC-MS techniques. I am coming upon that. So for that purpose, this is an exploratory data, and this is a precursor to the chemometric analysis of the natural compounds, where the exploratory data analysis is done, recognizing various patterns using multivariate pattern recognition algorithms and classifying the samples into the related groupings or clusters. This is inbuilt into the instrumentation part actually. These are very advanced instrumentation techniques nowadays which are available, which will facilitate actually the fixing the problem of the identity of the extracts and their authenticity. So the chemometrics, what does it cover? It covers quite a broad range of methods, including this, as I said, the exploratory data analysis, pattern recognition, and the statistical experimental design, which are all inbuilt. And out of that, one which is very exclusively used nowadays is the principal component analysis, which can investigate if the groups of compounds can be distinguished within a extract based on many variables, and which of these variables are important for distinguishing differences between them. I understand this may not be of much interest to the manufacturer per se, but out of this worthy gathering, those who have a good technical R&D backup, and those who are technicals by themselves, they must be understanding the importance of these techniques. Master kind of technologies which are coming up to analyze the extracts or the complex mixtures, where it is not required to go for in a classical method of purifying, characterizing, and then getting to know how many compounds are there. So from the complex mixtures themselves, you can very well get the identity of the material and the authenticity of the material provided by the manufacturer. So here as I said, for using the LC-MS, here is one technique which is the instrumentation technique, that is the liquid chromatography high resolution mass spectrometry. So that is the LCHRMS technique, and it is a very useful tool. We are using on a day-to-day basis in our institute, in our labs, in our groups, and this is a very useful tool for the non-targeted approach, wherein you don't know the identity of the compound but you want to establish it. So there are libraries which are available. Actually, the cost of the instrument it goes into, of course, crores, but it's a one-time investment and maintenance. But besides that, the cost which is there on some recurring basis is maintaining the libraries of the compounds. So the instrument providers, they globally have the libraries, ever evolving libraries, so they can be procured, they can be maintained, and that's how the strength of the laboratory can be built up. So compounds, they are detected within the complex mixture, they are quantified, and all the obtained variables are considered simultaneously. Why? Because the synergic effect is not there. They are parallelly existing there, they are not interacting with each other. Even if they are interacting with each other, that's a natural thing because they were interacting within the plant system also. So that is a very, very useful technique. And for those who are interested to have a look at this kind of facility and to interact with even the scientists, they are welcome to come to the Division of Agricultural Chemicals at IARI. We have 2 such facilities, and many of the scientists, including myself, we are working on this kind of R&D. So then there are more techniques for the characterization and analysis. As I said, one is these are non-destructive kind of analysis techniques where you don't want to work in the wet lab to determine the identity of the compound. As I said, for the certified reference materials and all, here we will be requiring the CRMs, but you won't need to work on the degradation or those kind of techniques. So NIR and the Raman spectroscopy, they are also very useful techniques which have the chemometric models within them. The libraries are there and the low prediction errors to determine the natural product's identity. And then there is another technique which is the vacuum ultraviolet spectrophotometry, which is a benchtop detection method combined with the gas chromatography, particularly for the volatile compounds. If there are some volatile compounds in your herbal extract, then the identity of them can be realized. Then I'm coming to my last part of my presentation, that is the NMR assisted profiling of extracts. Never before okay, I'm sorry. Usually the nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, it is used for determination of the final identity, means it is to confirm the structure of the pure molecules. For organic chemists, it's always a kind of the Brahmastra for establishing the identity of your pure compound, not impure compound. But nowadays, so much of advancement has been made in this sector that you can determine the identity of each and every compound in your complex mixture using the NMR spectroscopy. How? I have tried to just showcase a little part of that. And this is based on the 1D total correlation spectroscopy, which is inbuilt into the advanced NMR systems, and it has been used in the metabolomic research as a direct method for spectroscopic separation and identification of chemical compounds in the complex mixture. So, friends, this everything is there for those who are interested, but I'm sure many of you will not be interested to know about the spin coupling and coupling constants and all. But for this here I tried to give how does it work. Now the point is that there is because of the advent of the analytical science, because of the advent of the instrumentation science, it's an ever-evolving science and we are much behind. Of course, we must admit that we are in the infancy stage as compared to Europe and America, and realizing the needs of the biostimulants and of the plant extract based complexities and the authenticities, the system has evolved quite a lot, and that's why these instrumentation techniques are here. But I must say, say it with pride that we are no less than in terms of adopting, getting it at our places, and that's why, sir, I believe that when our friends of the industry of biostimulants, they were flagging that how to determine the identity of the purity of the plant extracts. So just like sir, for the information of the house, very recently National Bee Board has given us, Chakravarti sir is aware of, Malhotra sir is aware of, has given us a referral a scheme for establishment of regional lab for assessment and the authenticity of honey and the beehive purity. So similarly, sir, if ministry can think of the biostimulant as a sector for the farmers and for the exchequer also, so for that, if these kind of regional labs for the assessment and the purity testing of the herbal extracts in the biostimulants, that can be set up so that it with the government and the means it's a PPP mode, whatever modes can be thought of, these kind of infrastructures, they can be generated zone wise rather than centralizing them with some or the other places, and therein these kind of requests can be met. So with this, I have this much to say. Because time has been given to me, some limit has right. It's a seat of excellence on research, development, and extension on all aspects of plant protection, plant production, and resource management chemicals. We have number of technologies of all across all streams of the synthetic and the biological origin, including the microbial and the plant based. So it's a complete ocean within a small unit. So whenever you want to come and interact with the scientists, you are most welcome. Thank you very much.
I have a question, like as you rightly said, this herbal extracts can be analyzed by using ICP-MS and NMR and other high-end equipments. And one question for Dr. Malhotra also, that is there any chance of flexibility or respite if we are not able to analyze with the help of such kind of heavy high cost equipment?
But Hariji, just now, I have taken your point and Dr. Chaudhary's point and Malhotra sir and Chakravarti sir's all points of concerns and talks, that we keep doing. Now, आपने कहा कि क्या कोई और मेथड है? इनके अतिरिक्त कोई मेथड्स नहीं है. पहली चीज तो ये जो मुझे जहाँ तक मेरी समझ काम कर रही है. But point is, what for this Congress is? The Congress is to raise the concern and find a way forward. And today if we are not able to get it, of course, this is not that kind of thing that every manufacturer can buy one NMR or ICP-MS. No, as I said, that since these are capital intensive things, but once they are established, then they will work as a service providing units. And that's why on behalf of rather industry, I am urging upon the policy on this side to think upon the same way as they have thought upon for honey. So similarly, if for biostimulants and for those kind of compositions, such kind of regional labs or regional facilities can be generated within the ambit of the government institutions, then the job is very well done. So it's
this is a new subject, biostimulant, as I understood, because after making lots of deliberations have gone, finally, sir and Dr. Vishwanath you were also there.
He was also there. She was also there.
She was also there in that biostimulant committee meeting for regulation guidelines. Lots of deliberations were made, and ultimately, finally it is agreed. Biostimulant is a new thing. See, seaweed, only brown algae has 455 constituents, which have not been standardized. So people have started doing extract of seaweed. They don't know which particular one modulates which pathway to give a positive effect or something. So now, like in case of honey, what you said, madam, honey already known that 21 parameters have to be tested as a quality parameter. But honey is a gross product, but in this case every plant will be having a different constituent. So it is very difficult to know if there are 450 constituents, which particular constituent. Of course, I am telling in seaweed, if somebody says alginate has to be there, then we have to estimate a 0.1% or 1% if he is asking. So we have to. And regarding, so that's what he says is little relevant in the sense that it is, if he is extracting, say, a plant or datura or something, if datura is known to have one major constituent, it is, and for which analysis is known. But if there are hundreds of things, so it is very difficult to analyze it. What he wants to analyze, he does not. Similarly, another thing which Madam has said, that spiking, that's why with Dr. Vishwanath I was telling, like PGRs is a part of biostimulant. But PGR at a higher concentration, at a certain concentration, goes to CIBRC. So CIBRC people, so there should be a strict guideline. So what is the constituent? I requested Dr. Vishwanath to find, and Dr. Bhatla, colleague of Dr. Vishwanath. So what is the constituent, the limit of that in a plant? Say, as you said, in flavonoid, maybe in a root it is concentrated, but the plant is tolerating that, and that is giving. So if it is established that a plant contains, say, 100 up to 100 ppb, and that is not abused and people are using up to 100 ppb, I think we should let them go ahead, because otherwise keeping a track of everything, it will go on compiling things. But definitely those medicinal or herbal plants where you know certain components are there, you have to characterize them. And in this particular, there are 50 molecules or 10 molecules which are important and which is giving the biostimulant effect. And those are characterized, then you can have the method of analysis. But they will not be able to develop a method of analysis.